Bonjour tout le monde.
Good morning, everyone.
New Democrats. It's always great to be back here in Edmonton, where Rachel Notley's NDP government is building a stronger, fairer Alberta.
And please let me begin by saying how proud I am of you, how proud I am of us, how proud I am of our party. I was so impressed and deeply inspired this morning by the quality of debate that we've had on the protection of the environment. We have made the fight against inequality the main NDP priority, and that includes intergenerational inequality. There is no greater threat to coming generations than the crisis of climate change. Thank you, therefore, for having reminded Canadians of the importance that we attribute to the state of the planet that we are going to leave to our children and to our grandchildren.
A lot over the last few months to talk to members like you, and more importantly, to listen. Last month, I was here in this beautiful province in Calgary, Greenway, to be specific. We stopped to talk to some folks at an A&W. It was mid-morning and a bit of an older crowd. After chatting with a small group, a man named Sully asked me a brutally frank question. Why, after a lifetime of work, am I poor? You see, his wife had passed away last fall, and he was trying to live on just over $1,000 a month. And you know what? In the city of Calgary, that's pretty close to impossible. It breaks my heart when I hear stories like this from people struggling. I wish that I could have looked him in the eyes and said that a new era in Canada was beginning. One where profitable corporations and big banks were finally paying their fair share. And where help was finding its way to seniors like Sully. I remember Colleen in Nanaimo telling us she couldn't afford the test strips for her diabetes. My dad had diabetes. He had both legs amputated. I remember my parents dealing with bills for his medication that were several $100s a month. They didn't have the money. Oh, I wish I could have told Colleen that universal pharmacare was now a reality in Canada. But it's not possible. Yet. It's not possible yet. We made mistakes that cost us a victory in October, and for that, I take responsibility. I share your deep disappointment in the election results. That's why we've held unvarnished debrief sessions right across the country to better understand what went wrong, what mistakes were made, and how we can apply those lessons going forward. This process has also been an inspiring opportunity for me to connect individually with so many members like you. It's renewed my hope, my optimism in the future. And I'll share with you that one thing has become crystal clear. It's time for us to open up this party. To draw on all of the incredible talent and depth that we have from coast to coast to coast. There's too much work ahead of us. Having any one of us sit on the sidelines is not an option. In a Canada where the gap between the wealthy and everyone else is growing faster and wider than in most of the developed world, where ordinary families struggle to get ahead and the most vulnerable struggle just to get by. We need a strong, united NDP now more than ever, because only New Democrats will tackle inequality and fight to even the odds for everyone.
For decades and decades, successive conservative and liberal governments have been fighting for the interests of the richest and the most influential people in the country. In the meantime, workers have seen their public services being dismantled, their wages stagnate, and when it isn't, their jobs that were being sent offshore. And this is why our former leader and friend Jack Layton has worked relentlessly in order to build a social democratic movement that is solid and well-oiled. A modern movement to gather together Quebec progressives with other progressives in the country to really prevail against old political elites. In 2011, we had a true historical breakthrough. We became a real option with support and a solid base in Quebec. More than 1 million Quebecers can still consider neo-democratic values as their own, and our 16 MPs everywhere in Quebec are here to show for it. Of course, we had higher expectations, but we are still a formidable political force in Quebec. We had electoral district associations and activists in inconceivable places a few years ago. Jack's dream is still fully alive. In order to keep it alive, we have to continue to work together. And in order to do so, we need a strong and united party, and we will be able to and continue to push his vision forward.
In Edmonton or in downtown Toronto, on the Lower Mainland or in Atlantic Canada, wherever I go, I talk to families who work hard and do everything right, but feel like the deck is stacked against them. You know, it's not difficult to understand why. Over the last 30 years, workers have helped grow our economy by over 50%, but those same workers have seen their wages stagnate and retirement security virtually disappear. CEOs in Canada make 200 times the wage of the average worker. And you know that those same CEOs can use their stock options to avoid paying fair taxes, while at the same time over 1 million Canadian kids go to school hungry. That's not right. The middle class is being hollowed out as good-paying jobs are replaced with temporary, part-time, precarious work. Last year alone, Canada's big banks made a record $35 billion in profits and handed $12 billion in bonuses to their executives, while they cut thousands of good-paying Canadian jobs. We don't accept that. Now, Liberals and Conservatives will tell you that this is just the way things are. They'll say that this is the inevitable outcome of market forces, that nothing can be done. Well, allow me to be blunt. This is complete and utter BS. You know, as New Democrats, we know that there's nothing inevitable about signing trade deals that kill good Canadian jobs. It's a choice. There's nothing inevitable about handing tens of billions of dollars in tax giveaways to CEOs and the big banks. It's a choice. And there's nothing inevitable about cutting the services and supports families need to stay afloat. It's a choice. Liberal and Conservative choices, choices made by those successive governments over the last 3 decades that disproportionately benefited those at the top and hurt everyone else. Only New Democrats will stand up and demand a better deal for all those Canadians who are being left out and left behind by this winner-takes-all economy. And that's why Canada needs a strong, united NDP now more than ever.
We know in the NDP that it's not enough to have equal opportunity, not when the rules of this game are penalizing most workers and the most vulnerable in society. We also know that there is nothing progressive about campaigning against the increase in corporate taxation and against a federal minimum wage of $15 an hour. Yet, that's the paradox of the new Liberal government. Their party campaigned for change, but they've already broken a number of promises. Rather than acting against climate change, the Liberal government adopted the same targets as Conservatives did and has no plan to achieve these ridiculously low targets. Rather than ending the Conservatives' combat mission in Iraq, the Liberals expanded our military involvement by replacing our fighter planes by 3 times more troops on the ground. That is really incredible. It's shameful. And rather than helping families that are struggling, the Liberals' priority in the budget was to maintain the tax privileges of large corporations and their CEOs. When Canadians voted for change, can I say that they deserve better than that? And now they're counting on a strong and united NDP to play a key role of progressive opposition and to force the Liberals to deliver the goods.
Now, just as our winner-takes-all economy leaves families behind, our winner-takes-all electoral system literally leaves millions of Canadians out. According to a report from the Broadbent Institute, 9 million votes cast during the last election effectively didn't count because of Canada's antiquated first-past-the-post system. Of course, Conservatives believe the unfair status quo is just fine. Liberals, on the other hand, promise change, but they're already starting to backtrack on that one as well. My friends, the next few months will be critical in the fight for proportional representation. And we have to stay strong and united to lead this fight together. This is a moment. This is a chance to make history and strengthen our democracy by ensuring every vote and every voter finally counts. My friends, the task ahead of us is a difficult one. That's never stopped us before. The pundits are ready to write us off, as they have before, during, and after every single election. But in this convention hall, we don't back down from a challenge. In fact, we press on. Even when we suffer a setback, we stand strong. Even when they tell us it's a losing battle. If Jack and I had listened to them, do you think we would have ever broken through in Quebec? But together, we did it. If we had listened to them, we would never have dared take such a strong stand against Bill C-51. But we knew that this was about defending the fundamental rights and freedoms of all Canadians. So together, we did that as well because we knew it was the right thing to do. That's who we are. That's the history of our party. When NDP MP Margaret Mitchell rose in Parliament over 3 decades ago to raise the issue of violence against women, other parties tried to heckle her into silence. But Margaret would not be intimidated. She would not stay silent. She pressed on and just spoke louder. When Tommy Douglas was told that free, universal medical care was an impossible dream, and the doctors were willing to strike indefinitely, he didn't stop because it was hard. He pressed on because he knew health care should be a right for all, not just the few. And today, because Tommy couldn't be scared off, We have a public health care system that is the envy of the world. Now, unfortunately, Tommy's vision is under threat like never before. Creeping privatization and a Liberal budget that doubles down on Stephen Harper's health care cuts threaten the quality of health services in Canada. Let there be no doubt. Together, we will fight like hell to protect universal health care because there's nothing more universal to New Democrats.
Dear friends, you know what? We're not going to listen to cynics. And we're not going to give up the fight when things get tough. When Thérèse Castran was told over and over by the Quebec establishment that voting rights were not a women's issue, she continued to fight. And thanks to her courage and her principles, she became the first woman to be the head of a political party in Canada, and not just any party, the Quebec wing of the CCF, the predecessor of the NDP. And when Jack Layton was told that he wouldn't be able to do anything, that he would never be able to change things, he didn't let himself be discouraged. No, on the contrary, he forced the Liberals to transfer what was supposed to be a gift of $4.5 billion to large companies to affordable housing, First Nations communities, training, and transit, public transit. Investments that have had a concrete impact on Canadians' lives. And when corruption eats into our institutions, whether it be the Liberal scandal, the sponsorship scandal, or the Conservative Senate scandal, the NDP is there to expose, to denounce, and to force them to clean up. That is the type of result that New Democrats get when they work together. A strong and united NDP has proven that they are able to deliver the goods.
My friends, our work to build a fairer, more equal Canada starts here. It starts right now. It starts with long-time NDP activists and young people who volunteered for the very first time during the last campaign. While the election results were not as we had hoped, our roots, our grassroots, are very strong. You helped us knock on more doors, make more phone calls, and raise more money from small donors than ever before. Yes, you can applaud. It's you. From Jonquière to Victoria, from southwestern Ontario to Saskatoon. And in every community I visited, there were packed campaign offices teeming with energy and enthusiasm thanks to the hard work of your local campaigns. Make no mistake, our future is bright, as Stephen Lewis reminded us yesterday, and we have you to thank for it. My fellow New Democrats, we don't have a moment to waste. Struggling Canadian families need us to stay focused on their priorities. The call center and airport workers I met in Toronto who put in their full 40 hours a week but still live in poverty, they're counting on us. Yeah, they want us, they are, because they want us to continue the fight for a decent federal minimum wage, to ensure that their hard work is rewarded with fair pay. The woman I met in Saskatoon who survived sexual violence, only to be denied a shelter space, she's counting on us to keep pushing to ensure no woman is ever turned away in her moment of need. And in a society where sexual assault is rarely reported and even less frequently leads to a conviction, she's counting on us to say loudly and clearly, we believe survivors. Indigenous communities who live with underfunded schools, endless boil water advisories, and an epidemic of suicides, they're counting on us to ensure First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children have the same chance at education and success as every other Canadian kid. Nothing else is acceptable. The man I just met here in Edmonton, who's been out of work since last year and fears that he's going to lose his house and a lifetime of work with it, he's counting on us to fight for fair employment insurance system that's there for every Canadian who's fallen on hard times through no fault of their own. Young parents who have to make difficult decisions between their careers and caring for their children, they're counting on us to keep up the fight for a Canada-wide, universal, affordable, quality childcare program that will empower women, give our kids a good start in life, and strengthen the economy. As New Democrats, as Social Democrats, we understand that we're all in this together. But the lack of action on childcare and healthcare in the recent budget makes it clear. Today's Liberal Party has joined the Conservatives in rejecting the progressive principle of universality. Just one more reason we need a strong, united, and focused NDP to protect and expand social programs like childcare, like pharmacare, to lift everyone up. Les gens de partout au pays comptent sur nous.
People everywhere in the country count on us. Francophone communities count on us to ensure their well-being by guaranteeing public services in good French. They count on us to ensure that the federal government takes its responsibilities seriously and remembers that Google Translate is not an official bilingual policy. Persons with disabilities count on us. They demand leadership to make Canada more accessible in order to be able to continue to contribute to its labour market and to its social life. The youth who are up to their necks in debt for their studies count on us to help the provinces make education and professional training accessible for everyone. The elders who built this country, count on us to ensure that their public pension is increased so that they can retire in dignity, with dignity.
My fellow New Democrats, millions of Canadians are looking to us. They're counting on us to fight for them and stand up to well-connected and powerful interests. We can't let them down. We can't get distracted. We have to push forward. If you keep standing with me, then together we will never stop fighting. So stand with me. On va se tenir debout.
We'll stand together.
Fight to grow our party and strengthen our movement. Debout contre l'inégalité.
Let us stand together to fight inequality.
Progressives in Quebec with those in the rest of the country. Debout pour la paix. Stand if you want to fight.
Stand for peace.
Of New Democrats, young and old, have dreamed of and organized for. A Canada that is loving, hopeful, and optimistic, where everyone belongs, everyone matters, and no one is left behind. Together, we can do this. Ensemble, nous pouvons bâtir le pays.
Together, we can build the country of our dreams. Together, we are going to succeed. Thank you.
Continue.
We are going to continue